Shalom. I'd like to start by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. I would also like to give double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstones for passing down this truth. And I would also like to send a sincere salutation out there to the elect, preaching this word in truth and sincerity. Now, in this lesson, I want to go into how there is a secret society, and the secret society does exist. And the former president, John F. Kennedy, did a speech about it and how it exists and how it's not right and how it's unjust. The whole speech is about 20 minutes long, but I just clipped about 4 minutes towards the end of the speech. Lord's will, I'll link the full speech down in the description box. So I'm gonna let it run. I'm gonna stop and go every now and again to make my point. So let's continue.
Ended.
Let me restart it so I can.
I am not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people. For I have complete confidence in the response and dedication of our citizens whenever they are fully informed. I not only could not stifle controversy among your readers, I welcome it. This administration intends to be candid about its errors. For as a wise man once said, an error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. We intend to accept full responsibility for our errors, and we expect you to point them out when we miss them. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive.
Now you see, he's talking about how he thinks it's a right and a duty to the American people to be transparent and to let them know what's really going on in the world. But you got, the powers that be, the top wicked elite, the top baking families that suppress certain information that the public should be privy to. And he doesn't think that is right. Continue.
That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. And that is why our press was protected by the First Amendment, the only business in America specifically protected by the Constitution, not primarily to amuse and entertain, not to emphasize the trivial and the sentimental, not to simply give the public what it wants, but to inform, to arouse, to reflect, to state our dangers and our opportunities, to indicate our crises and our choices, to lead, mold, educate, and sometimes even anger public opinion. This means greater coverage and analysis of international news, for it is no longer far away and foreign, but close at hand and local. It means greater attention to improved understanding of the news, as well as improved transmission. And it means, finally, that government at all levels must...
Yeah, because see, the news, like what you watch on TV, the news, it only shows you what it wants you to see. Because the news is owned by, some of these elites, so they're not going to really give you the true message. They're just going to give you what you want to hear, the filler, the bullshit. They're not going to give you the deep, dark intertwinings and interminglings of what's really going on within the situation. Because they don't want you to they don't want you to have that information, They want to keep you in the dark. Like in New York, when they found that underground tunnel with those rats in there. Whatever happened to that story? There was no leads. There was no, no follow-up, no nothing. It was just swept under the rug. You don't even hear about it no more. Had mattresses with, looked like, human fluids on it. Had baby high chairs and baby clothes in the tunnel. What happened to that? What happened to the information pertaining to that? It just happened and we never heard nothing from it again. That's the wickedness. Let's continue.
Its obligation to provide you with the fullest possible information outside the narrowest limits of national security, and we intend to do it. It was early in the 17th century that Francis Bacon remarked on three recent inventions already transforming the world: the compass, gunpowder, and the printing press. Now the links between the nations, first forged by the compass, have made us all citizens of the world, the hopes and threats of one becoming the hopes and threats of us all. In that one world's effort to live together, the evolution of gunpowder to its ultimate limit has warned mankind of the terrible consequences of failure. And so it is to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance, confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be, free and independent.
Now, I want to go back to a point that he had made right here.
World, the compass. It was early in the 17th century that Francis Bacon remarked on three recent inventions already transforming the world: the compass, gunpowder, and the printing press. Now,
The compass, gunpowder, and the printing press. Those are the three things that Esau uses to take over the world. You know, he uses the compass to navigate where he's going, to get to a certain land, to take it over. You know, hence Cristobal Colon, who the world calls Christopher Columbus. He uses the compass to guide the ships to go to a certain land and take over that land. And then you had gunpowder. We already know what that's about. What they're gonna do with that. You know, see how they did the Gadites. And then you have the printing press, where they can print out a narrative that they want, out there, propaganda. They use their press to spin a narrative, to have, people view things from a certain optic, And he also brought up Francis Bacon. So I went and I did the research on who that is. All right, so let's go Francis Bacon. Let me do it like this. Let me see. See what that AI hitting on. Hold on, it's not coming up now the way I intended. Okay, Francis Bacon is known for, says Francis Bacon is most famous for his philosophy of science. He argued that scientific knowledge is obtained after making observation and then utilizing inductive reasoning to interpret the observations. Bacon also argued that the controlled scientific experimentation is essential for understanding nature. It says Bacon had summed up the motivation for his book. It says, if we are to achieve things never before accomplished, we must employ methods never before attempted. It says Bacon believed in the idea of progress. His personal motto was plus ultra, or further beyond, and he thought that his contemporaries were not so concerned. You see? And then let's check out his Wikipedia. Bacon was Western philosophy, his era, the Renaissance philosophy. So he was around during the Renaissance era. And then, I went into the Renaissance era, right? This shit is so annoying. It doesn't give you what you're looking for. Just all right, let's just do it like this. The Renaissance era is a period of history and European culture movement covering the 15th and 16th century. It marked the transition from the Middle Ages to the modernity and was characterized by effort to revive, surpass the ideas and achievements of classical antiquity. Yeah, so the Renaissance, when you go into that word Renaissance, it means rebirth. You see? And with the philosophy and the thinking of Francis Bacon, you could say, like, I draw the correlation on how they use the compass, gunpowder, and what was the other one? The printing press, and how they used it to shape a narrative across the world to take it over, during the Renaissance period. And that's a philosophy that Bacon had. And that's the philosophy that the top banking families, the top wicked elite also took on. There's nothing that they wouldn't do, because in order to get something done, they feel like they have to, go where no one else has went. They have to push the boundaries, and they feel like they can do it because they're the ones that's in power. Who's going to stop them? It says if we are to achieve things never before accomplished, we must employ methods never before attempted. I'm gonna give you an example. That September, what happened on September 11th. Anybody with a brain could understand what that was really about. But again, that was the top wicked elite taking it upon themselves to create an issue and then come up with a problem, So I'm gonna go to Psalms 64. I'll start at the first verse. I'm gonna read this whole chapter. It says, "Prayer for deliverance from secret enemies." It says, "To the chief musician, a psalm of David." It says, "Hear my voice, O power, and my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity." Yeah, and that's talking about, the enemy being Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, but more importantly, the top wicked elite, the top banking families. It says, "Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked." You see, because the elites, they get together and they come up with ways to oppress the people and to forward their kingdom. It says, "From the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not." The perfect, being the Israelites. It says, "They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune in laying snares privately. They say, who shall see them?" Yeah, you see, they get together privately, and then they come up with ways to oppress the people, like I said. They set up traps and they write in legislation and come up with laws to just oppress the people, especially Jake. It says, "But the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly they shall be wounded. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away." And them arrows is talking about those nuclear missiles, them ICBM missiles. It says, "So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away." And yeah, that's Esau. He's telling on himself at this point. he just stirs up mischief, but it's so obvious now. It's not secretive like it used to be. Like you can see like the whole play now. Like they don't even care to hide it as well as they used to anymore. Psalm 64:9. It says, "And all men shall fear and shall declare the work of the Most High, for they shall wisely consider of his doings. The righteous shall be glad in the Lord and shall trust in him, and all the upright in heart shall glory." As you know, that speech that Kennedy gave, he gave that speech April 27th, 1961. And he was sworn into office January 20th, 1961, as the 35th president of the United States. So that's about a 9-month gap. And on November 22nd, 1963 is when he was assassinated. And why do they think they assassinated him for? Because they seen that he wasn't down with their program. He thought what they was doing was unjust. And that's what leads me to believe that Kennedy may have been an Israelite, because I believe his parents or his father, like, is from Irish descent, and when you do the history on that, Irish people at Jakes are Israelites. Not all of them, but the majority. Now let's go to Isaiah 14 and 11. This is Isaiah chapter 14, verse 11. It says, "Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy viols." It says, "The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee." It says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nation? And when you go into that word Lucifer, Lucifer in Hebrew, Lucifer, light bearer, shining one, morning star, Lucifer, of the king of Babylon and Satan. And Lucifer isn't necessarily talking about, Satan, the spiritual devil, Satan. It's talking about its physical counterpart that's here, lingering in the earth, being the top wicked elites. Again, the top banking families. Because Esau, like it says here, thy pomp has brought you down. Esau, he's very proud, He walks around as if he is God on the earth. Let's go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4. Yeah. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4. It says, "Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshipped, so that he as the Most High sitteth in the temple of the Most High, shewing himself that he is the Most High." You see, and that's Esau for you. He's proud because he has the fatness of the earth, That was his blessing, the sword, So I'm going to end it there. Lord's will, this was edifying. Till next time, shalom.